So finally, after over a year's delay, my wife Debbie and I are going to install a new display in our Heritage Center. And it's a bittersweet goodbye to our Lincoln retrospective. And we're going to remove a lot of these pieces, but still hopefully include Lincoln as part of our new Patriotic display. And my parents did some wonderful patriotic pieces, and my brother did a wonderful piece I'm also hoping to use in the display. Always for me, it's somewhat of an organic approach to doing a new display. I get an idea in my head and I get the materials I need, but it's always as I'm putting it together, some things work, some things don't. I have to go and scrounge up other supplies to finish it, and that's our project today. So Debbie and I are going to get started on our new Patriotic display. Okay, we have emptied out the case. For the time being, I'm going to leave these red drapes that I used in the Lincoln exhibit to see if they might work. I've kind of had it all along that I might use those. I've had them in mind. I'm wanting to use some old documents. Actually, they're reproductions of old and very important American documents. Here we have We the People, and I have a larger one of the Declaration of Independence. And they're going to be, in a sense, the backdrop, the centerpiece backdrop for my parents' dolls. And I have them in various sizes, and we're planning how to mount them and have them displayed here. I would have loved to have had this in the Lincoln display. This is a copy of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address in his own handwriting, and plan to use that with Lincoln to one side, and then I have a wonderful George and Martha Washington doll I want to have on the other side. So I'm hoping to use this. So we have our empty space here. Actually, the case is deeper than how we used it for the Lincoln display. And I'm wanting to incorporate a light source here, a lantern of some kind. I saw immediately that I wanted to have that as part of the composition. So we're going to move forward with laying it in and see how this goes. Okay, so I've laid the backdrop in. I think we're going to be able to leave the red curtains, which I'm happy about. Have a banner effect here. I have some ribbon and kind of a parchment looking cloth. And then I figured out how I wanted to mount the Declaration of Independence here. And I've created a frame that will hold it. And mount it here. So this comes down kind of as the behind the centerpiece of the work here, and then I'm going to trim and figure out exactly how to lay that in. And then my wife came up with the very clever idea of lining this lantern with We the People. And so we have a very low wattage cool bulb inside here. And so I definitely want a lantern here with the wonderful important classic document inside. And then we'll begin to lay in where the figures will go. So they will be unveiled soon. All right, so now I finally have everything laid out with the help of some hot glue and some white glue and some pins and staples. And I have mounted the important documents here. And I'm going to have George and Martha Washington standing over here, and they're actually very vintage dolls created in 1955. And This is the Bill of Rights, which was written in 1789. So that will be behind George and Martha Washington. And then the big document here that kind of will encompass the entire scene is the Declaration of Independence. We're going to have Uncle Sam here. We're going to have Betsy Ross here, and the Spirit of 76 here. And we have the Constitution in the lantern, and then this is the Lincoln, the Lincoln corner, or the Lincoln edge, and I have a replica, as I mentioned, of the Gettysburg Address with his signature, and I'm going to have a bust of Lincoln, and then the old 1955 original Lincoln doll standing over here. So everything's laid out. I've worked out the platforms where everyone's going to stand. So what is left really is laying the cloth over my platforms, and then very carefully working out placing the dolls in. And then I have detailing that I want to do. I've laid in the banners, I've laid in the ribbon, but I want to do detailing to kind of just blend the whole thing more. So that's what's left. So that's where we are right now, and I'm going to press on. It's the next day now. I have to say this took most of yesterday, but I wanted to sleep and then come back to it and kind of see any other detailing I wanted to do. And I came back and I installed some glitter and some stars, and then the final installation of the dolls. And I have to say I'm pretty happy and thankful that this turned out. For a long time I knew I wanted to do this patriotic case, didn't know kind of what the foil or the backdrop was going to be to set the whole thing off. And when the idea of these important documents came to mind, I thought maybe that was perfect. You know, George Washington is holding an important letter he's writing, and of course Uncle Sam is holding One Nation Under God, which my dad did the calligraphy on, and so this document idea kind of came to me because of that, and I think it ended up being a very appropriate backdrop for these wonderful characters. So here to the far left, we have the Washingtons. These are one-of-a-kind dolls that my parents designed in 1955 when my mother was expecting my sister Gretchen, and they were delivered to my dad's mom, Nana Sue, in Columbia, Missouri, on the very day that Gretchen was born in February of 1955. The only two ever created, so they are indeed treasures. Next we have Betsy Ross, and she was created in 2003 and painstakingly worked out so she could have her flag and be sewing. She even has a little needle in her hand, and it was a very, very well received piece and done in limited numbers from 2003 until the end of the doll enterprise in 2007. This centerpiece here, or the piece here right in front of the lantern, is Spirit of 76, which my brother created in 1998. He sculpted it using as inspiration the very famous painting Spirit of 76, which was actually painted 100 years after the Declaration of Independence was signed. And this was produced in limited numbers, has a very delicate little flag here that they even worked out, that my brother sculpted. And then they worked out a mold process to have the flag and the drumsticks. Very intricate, again done in very limited numbers. In 2002, they produced Uncle Sam, One Nation Under God, and a wonderful piece. My dad was very, very proud of this piece, and it was inspired and very, very popular piece there towards the end of the doll business. And over here we return again to Lincoln. And you know, that's what this case was holding, was the Lincoln retrospective. And this piece was included along with this bronze bust. And I wanted to include them as part of this patriotic display. The bronze bust was created in 1985, and my dad sculpted it in wax. So the original was destroyed when they created the actual mold to pour the bronze and reproduce this limited edition bust of him. I think it's a beautiful portrait. I think my dad should have been very, very proud of that. And he was always somewhat hesitant about his finished piece on this 1955 Lincoln that was delivered to my grandmother on that very same day, along with George and Martha Washington. But I've always thought that he was a great piece. And my dad began exploring the character of Lincoln for many, many years after that, and so of course we would include that. So here we have it, and I'm pleased that this is in place for our expo, which is going to be on June 12th, 2021. And actually my plan is after we place the glass over the scene, is to put a curtain, and it will not be revealed to the public until the expo. So that will happen on that day when we invite, or when we have our expo attendees come to our Heritage Center, and we have many exciting things planned for that day. So hope you can plan on coming to that. So in the spirit of this summer, as we come out of COVID, it's a wonderful thing to have this case completed. Also, we have a link to our Lincoln video, which I produced over a year ago, describing the case that was highlighting his life and the pieces that my parents did to celebrate Abraham Lincoln. So you can watch that video. Also available below are tickets to the expo, June 12th, 2021. We also ask that you please subscribe and like this video so we can continue to bring many videos like this about the Simpich story.